Hi, it's Friday, March 7th, and we have two systems to talk about in the tropics today. We have Cyclone Alfred, which is forecast to make landfall in eastern Australia sometime tonight or early tomorrow. And we've also got a new disturbance in the Indian Ocean. This system will likely impact Madagascar as a tropical storm this weekend and could get interesting in the Mozambique Channel. And interest in Madagascar and Mozambique should watch this one closely. And we'll talk about the forecast for this one in just a moment. We're going to briefly start off with Alfred as it tracks slowly towards the coast of eastern Australia. This system has been tracking slower over the past couple of days than many models expected. We talked about a couple days ago, expecting landfall sometime late last night or early this morning, but you can see the system's centered well offshore still, and this is not moving at a brisk pace off to the west. So this is going to take still 12 hours or more to get onshore. And the current projection is now more Saturday morning based on current model guidance. And that seems to be about right, just with the slow movement that we're seeing. Now, this does have some good implications for the impacts, particularly in Queensland, though. In New South Wales, we will likely have the worst impact that this storm has to offer. You can see all this onshore flow ushering showers and thunderstorms onshore, and this is likely to lead to extensive flooding issues in New South Wales, and hope everyone stays safe there as our storm does come in. Now, as for the storm structure overall, we have seen attempts overnight of the system trying to wrap thunderstorms over the center. You can kind of see a wrap that tried and failed as the sun rises, and now the system center is becoming a little bit more exposed, likely because we have some dry air and training in now onto the western side, and this is going to be likely the start of a weakening trend or Alfred. Models don't really anticipate this to strengthen all too much more, and it makes sense because this dry air intrusion is going to take time for the system to mix out, and this system likely doesn't have too much time left to do that. You can see that as we get towards landfall late tonight or tomorrow morning, we have this wall of westerly shear that's approaching the storm very quickly. By Saturday morning, this will be impinging right upon the storm. You can see it here in this model. And this is going to start shearing apart the system significantly. This is going to be a very strong shear for Alfred, and it will likely cause the system to start to weaken as it makes landfall. Now, exactly when the system makes landfall, that'll be determinative of the actual intensity at landfall. Current projections from the Bureau of Meteorology still have it as a Category 2, but it is possible we go down to Category 1 before the system actually makes landfall. Now, this will also have a significant impact on the impacts for Queensland. As this westerly shear kicks in, it's likely going to push some of the moisture off towards the eastern side of our storm. This is probably going to decrease rainfall totals that we see in southeastern Queensland. You can see the impact of this on the HAPS model forecast. Brisbane is here, and this is really the cutoff point of very heavy rainfall and not much rainfall at all. You can see north of there in Queensland, this is now more so 25 or 50 millimeters of rainfall, with local areas getting 100 or 150 millimeters on top of what we've already gotten. I'm not sure how much we've gotten, but overall, this is a better picture than what we had a couple of days ago. Now, down south for New South Wales, this will still be a significant flooding event. You can see this is potential 300, 400 millimeters of rainfall alongside onshore push of flow. So this is probably going to still be a significant flooding event for New South Wales, but for southeastern Queensland, this is definitely looking better for you all. Now, it will still likely be windy. You can see we do still have a cyclone warning in effect for these areas because the system's wind field will take time to deteriorate. But you can see on this forecast, passing north of Brisbane is a Category 2 cyclone, then weakening to Category 1 as it makes landfall. Now, this intensity at landfall will still matter for areas like Brisbane, even though we may not be in the heaviest rainfall like in New South Wales. If the system does come in still as a Category 2, that's still pretty strong winds funneling water into these bay areas near Brisbane, and this could still be a significant storm surge event for the region. And alongside that, we have gotten some rainfall today, and any rainfall that's going to try to come out to these bay areas or escape out into the ocean, they may have more difficulty doing so because we have this strong onshore push of flow south of the system center. So we can expect higher water levels along the coast, which can lead to coastal flooding issues, but also flooding inland, as perhaps some lakes and rivers start to back up with water as this water tries to escape out to sea. So we could still see some flooding issues, not just on the coast, but also in inland areas as some of the moisture begins to get rotated in on the south side. As you can see, once it moves inland, it's not in a very fast hurry to get out of here. This is Sunday morning, and it's still in the general vicinity, and this could still easily pull some moisture in and bring some further rainfall to areas along the coast and further inland. So high impact event, even though it is now on a weakening trend. Stay safe in Australia as the system does come ashore. This will likely be my last video on Alfred, as after this point the system weakens and has no chance of regenerating at all. All right, now we're going to focus in the Indian Ocean, and it's probably where we're going to be for the next week as we have a new system developing northeast of Madagascar. You can see we have a very weak circulation around some very disorganized convection around the area of low pressure that's been tracking west at a fairly brisk pace and is going to make landfall in Madagascar sometime this weekend. Now, the environment overall is conducive for the system to continue developing. It does have some slight shear. You can see these upper level cirrus clouds being pushed off to the west. There's a high pressure system in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can see it here on the GFS that's more centered north of La Reunion and Mauritius. And this being on the northwestern side has a little bit of easterly shear impacting our storm. And the forward motion coupled with this shear is not going to allow the system to really intensify significantly before landfall in Madagascar. And the current expectation is that we have a tropical storm making landfall, moderate tropical storm that is, on Saturday or Sunday. Now, after that point, the system does enter the Mozambique Channel, and things may get interesting as the environment is forecast to be pretty favorable. You can see the GFS, that's the deterministic run, showing you as the system comes over Madagascar this weekend, and then by mid-weekend, we see the system now in the Mozambique Channel, and it intensifies on the model because the environment turns more favorable. You can see as we go on the GFS ensemble, we have the high pressure system draped more so directly on top of it than being just east of it. And this would promote a low shear environment that would allow the system to intensify if it stays over water. That's the key thing. The system is forecast to, like I mentioned, impact Madagascar. And we had this a couple of months ago with a couple of systems, and where the question becomes now, how much land interaction does this have with Madagascar? Does it stay further south and potentially stay over land more? That would decrease the chance of a stronger storm if it does do that. Or is it able to quickly pass over northern Madagascar and come out to sea, swing out, and then intensify in the warm waters of the Mozambique Channel? Now, we have seen a shift over the past day in the model guidance to show a scenario that's over the Mozambique Channel. You can see this GFS ensemble track. Most of these are into the Mozambique Channel. Now, for comparison, I don't have the image, but last night the system had, or these model guides rather, had the system tracking more over Madagascar. So we have seen a significant trend in models today that show the system coming offshore into the Mozambique Channel. And this is also consistent with other models like the Canadian and the European. Now, there may be something to watch for if the system remains fairly weak as it passes over Madagascar. You can see that if we look at the low levels of the atmosphere, we have a high pressure system draped southeast of Madagascar, and the center positioning is important because if we look a little bit above that in the mid layers, the high pressure system is more centered due south of Madagascar. So this is more of a easterly flow on our storm, but if it's more weak, it's going to feel more of the flow from this low level ridge. So if it hangs around in Madagascar, or it potentially doesn't get as strong, maybe not even a tropical storm by the time it gets into Madagascar, that would mean that it's going to feel this flow more than it is on the mid-level ridge. And being on the northwestern periphery of this is more of a southwesterly trajectory. And that's a scenario where the system may end up staying over Madagascar. You can kind of see some of these in the GFS ensemble. We have some of these that come out to sea, they swing out further west of the Mozambique Channel, but some that come ashore, they're weaker and they stay on the southwesterly trajectory, staying over Madagascar. And that would be probably the best case scenario here because the environment is favorable, as you can see with all these reds and purples here in the GFS ensemble, for the system to intensify. And if it is able to get into the Mozambique Channel, with the environment these models are showing, it is possible that we have a cyclone impacting Mozambique and Madagascar sometime next week. Now, exact details on that are going to be murky for a couple more days. Really, the main obstacle is getting past Madagascar, and I'd say by Sunday we'll have much more certainty on what the system is going to do. But the main key message is for Madagascar and Mozambique is that we can expect development of this system over the weekend, and it may be something to monitor for more strong impacts as we head into the early part and mid part of next week. And Mozambique will be more of an imminent threat to that. You can see this is by day 4 to day 6, but southeastern Madagascar, southwestern rather, when the system does recurve, that could be as far as 8 days in advance. So there's still lots of time to watch the system and lots of times for things to change. Hopefully they change for the better. We certainly don't want to see any strong storms hit land, but it's good to be aware that it is a possibility that we have something that could impact these regions strongly as we head into next week. And I'll have more videos on this as we do head into the next week. And we'll talk about that system and how it progresses over Madagascar over the weekend. As of right now, this is the current forecast from Meteo France. You can see the general idea tracking southwest fairly quickly and becoming a tropical storm as it hits Madagascar and then weakening as you would expect due to the land interaction. But after that, their forecast is aligning more with the consensus, having the system swing out into the Mozambique Channel, an intensification into a cyclone forecast here as we head into early next week, very close to Mozambique. But you can see this cone of uncertainty. This is where the system could track. And if we have a track further north, that could be more of a threat for Mozambique, more in the center, maybe something that stays more out to sea and more of a significant threat to southwestern Madagascar. Or if it stays south, we could see the system sit over land for an extended period of time, and that could seriously take down the intensity that we have in the Mozambique Channel. So lots of uncertainty. We'll have to watch this one very closely in Madagascar and Mozambique. And I'll have more videos, like I mentioned, back from next week on this system. That's all for now. Stay safe in Australia as Alfred comes in. I'll leave links to the Bureau of Meteorology website at the top of the description so you can get to their website quickly and get the information you need on weather alerts that are issued for this system as it comes in. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.